Friends, this story takes place in a village called Burke. Now, just like regular villages have rats and mosquitoes, this village has dragons. And this Viking village used to fight dragons. The chief of this village is Stoik. It's said that when Stoik was a child, he once cut off a dragon's head with his bare hands. Now Stoik has a son named Hiccup, but instead of fighting dragons, he works with this guy Gobber. But the other kids in the village weren't like Hiccup. The bravest among them is Astrid. Hiccup had a crush on Astrid, but she didn't really notice him. So Hiccup tells Gobber, "Just let me go out and kill a dragon once. My whole life will change." But Gobber doesn't listen. "You mess things up more than you help." Meanwhile, dragons were constantly attacking the village. There were all kinds of dragons here, but the most dangerous of them all was the Night Fury, a dragon no one had ever even seen before. Gobber also heads out to fight. So, taking advantage of the moment, Hiccup grabs a cannon he made himself and sneaks out. By accident, he ends up firing at the Night Fury, and surprisingly, he hits his target. But just then, another dragon appears. Hiccup runs to save himself. His father Stoik arrives and saves Hiccup just in time. He fights off the dragon like a true warrior. But because of Hiccup, the village suffered massive damage. The dragons got away safely. Hiccup starts saying, "I hit the Night Fury." But his father doesn't believe him. He scolds Hiccup and says, "Why can't you just do what you're told?" He tells Hiccup, "You're not a dragon killer." So Astrid and the others start making fun of Hiccup too. The next day, everyone gathers for a village meeting. Stoik says they need to find the dragon's nest and destroy it. But the rest of the villagers don't believe in the nest anymore. They feel like they've been searching for it forever, but haven't found anything yet. Stoik motivates them. "We're Vikings. We can't just back down like cowards." Stoik then asks an old woman for guidance. "Tell me, will we find the dragon's nest or not?" The old woman replies, "You will find it." So Stoik assigns Gobber to train this year's recruits. They both start talking about Hiccup. Success? What should I even do with him? He only follows his own rules. He's nothing like me. Meanwhile, Hiccup is off in the forest, searching for the Night Fury, the one he shot at the night before. He notices some broken trees. He follows the trail, and finally spots the Night Fury. The Night Fury is lying there, injured. Hiccup steps forward to kill it. He thinks if he can just kill it, he can prove himself to the villagers. But he can't do it. Hiccup just isn't the kind of guy who can take a life. Instead, he sets the Night Fury free. But the dragon attacks him. It scares Hiccup and flies away. But it can't fly properly anymore. The scene shifts to Hiccup's home, where his father tells him, "Starting tomorrow, you begin dragon training." But Hiccup doesn't want to do it anymore. "I can't kill a dragon." His father replies, "No, the time has come. You have to do it now. Train hard, become a real Viking. Become like us. Change yourself completely." Stoik then leaves the village with the others. The next day, Astrid and all the other kids show up for training. Here, they're going to learn how to fight different dragons. Everyone's excited to kill dragons. And that's when Hiccup shows up too. Gobber announces that whoever performs the best in this training will earn the honor of killing their first dragon in front of the entire village. Gobber then releases the first dragon, a Gronkle. "Face it and protect yourselves." They all had to defend themselves with shields. Whoever's shield broke would be out. This Gronkle could attack 6 times. One by one, everyone got eliminated. Only Astrid and Hiccup were left. The Gronkle knocked out Hiccup too. It was about to kill him when Gobber had to step in and save him. Gobber says, "A dragon will always try to kill you." And that makes Hiccup start wondering, then why didn't the Night Fury kill me? He went back into the forest to search for the Night Fury again. Hiccup saw that the Night Fury could no longer fly. No matter how hard it tried, it kept falling down. Hiccup sat at a distance and sketched the Night Fury. And that's when he realized one of the tail fins was missing. Just then, the Night Fury also spotted Hiccup. Hiccup went back to the other kids. Here, Gobber showed them a book about dragons, a book that had information on all kinds of dragons. But the other kids weren't really interested in reading it. They all just walked away. And seeing the opportunity, Hiccup tried talking to Astrid. told her, "Dragons aren't as bad as we think they are." To which Astrid said, "You're seriously messed up." Astrid felt like Hiccup had an easy life. After all, he was the chief's son, whereas she had gotten this far all on her own. She said, "I'm going to kill every dragon, so people can finally live in peace." Astrid had dreams of becoming the chief one day. So Hiccup sat alone and started reading the dragon book. And in the middle of all the dangerous dragons, he found a page for the Night Fury, but it was completely blank. No one knew anything about it. The scene shifts to Stoik. He was out at sea with the other Vikings, searching for the dragon's nest. Suddenly, dragons attacked their ship. The Vikings were surrounded from all sides. The story cuts back to Hiccup. He was continuing his training with the other kids. And as always, Astrid was performing the best. She defeated the dragon and sent it back into its cage. After training, Hiccup went straight to the Night Fury again. He brought a fish as an offering, but the Night Fury wouldn't come near him. So Hiccup threw his dagger far away. The Night Fury took the fish and ate it. Then, it pulled out half the fish from its mouth and offered it to Hiccup, as if to say, "You eat the other half." Hiccup had no choice but to eat it. Toothless saw Hiccup smile, and tried to smile back at him. But when Hiccup took a step closer, Toothless backed off and sat at a distance. He still didn't fully trust Hiccup yet. At this point, Hiccup decided to name him Toothless. Toothless then started drawing shapes on the ground just like Hiccup did. After a while, Toothless finally allowed Hiccup to touch him. Later, Hiccup returned to the other kids. Here, Gobber was telling everyone, always target a dragon's tail or wings. A dragon that can't fly is as good as dead. So Hiccup started working on building an artificial tail fin for Toothless. The next day, he brought more fish for him. Hiccup thought that if he gave Toothless food, he could then fix his tail. But the task wasn't as easy as he imagined. As soon as the new tail was attached, Toothless took off flying, with Hiccup hanging on to the tail mechanism itself. Both of them eventually crashed into a lake. Then the scene cuts back to training again. Today, they were up against a two-headed dragon. One head spits gas, and the other head sets it on fire. That dragon was about to kill Hiccup, but Hiccup started giving out commands. "Move back! Get away!" He offers the dragon a fish as a treat, and seeing him do that, the other kids were completely shocked. Hiccup quickly rushed out of there, and began building a seat so he could ride on Toothless. The two of them started flying together, but their rides weren't smooth yet. They'd crash and fall after a short while. But back in his dragon training, Hiccup was now performing really well. He was using his brain to control the dragons. He had noticed that whenever Toothless got scratched in a certain spot, he calmed down and lay still. So Hiccup started doing the same thing during training. He'd scratch the dragons and calm them down. The other kids started trying to be friends with him too. Hiccup had suddenly become popular in the village, and Astrid started getting jealous of that. Meanwhile, Stoik returned to the village. He looked really disappointed, but once he got back, he heard about Hiccup. He found out how Hiccup was defeating dragons in his own unique way. At the same time, Hiccup was out practicing how to fly with Toothless. To fly properly, he needed to control the artificial tail fin. And for every flying style, the tail had to change shape in a specific way. Hiccup wrote all of this down on paper. He and Toothless started flying better using those adjustments. But because of the high speed, the paper slipped and flew away. Hiccup and Toothless also got separated and started falling. Hiccup somehow got back on Toothless, and just as they were about to hit the ground, Hiccup fixed the tail shape, and Toothless leveled out just in time. Hiccup had finally learned to control him completely. He had become a true dragon rider. That night, Stoik came to see Hiccup. He was so proud. His son was becoming a great Viking. Stoik said, "Soon, the day will come when you kill a dragon." Proudly, he gifted Hiccup a Viking helmet, made from his mother's armor. He said, "Wear this with pride, son." The next day at training, Stoik came to watch Hiccup in action. It was Astrid's last chance to prove herself, but Hiccup defeated the dragon before anyone else could. Now, it was time to choose the top slayer among the recruits. The old lady chose Hiccup instead of Astrid. which meant Hiccup would now get the chance to kill a dragon. But neither Hiccup nor Astrid was happy about it. Astrid followed Hiccup into the forest. She wanted to know how he was able to do all this. And that's when she came face to face with Toothless. Hiccup calmed Toothless down, telling him, "She's my friend." Astrid was shocked to see the Night Fury standing right in front of her. She immediately ran off. But Hiccup and Toothless picked her up and flew off with her. They dropped her on top of a huge cliff and said, "Just listen to me once." Hiccup let Astrid ride on Toothless too, saying, "Come on, I want to show you something." But Toothless intentionally started flying in a really wild and dangerous way. He wasn't even listening to Hiccup. Only after Astrid said sorry to Toothless, he finally took them flying peacefully through the clouds. The view from up there was breathtaking. Astrid, now smiling, looked down at the world from the sky and began to enjoy every moment of it. She finally understood why Hiccup wasn't against dragons. But tomorrow, he'd still have to kill one. Just then, more dragons started flying around them. Suddenly, the sky was filled with countless dragons, all of them flying in the same direction. They were headed toward the dragon nest. Toothless joined them and flew with the swarm. This was the thing Hiccup's father had been searching for all this time. A massive dragon appeared in front of them, so huge that even the other dragons were terrified of it. Hiccup and Astrid returned to the village. Now Astrid wanted to tell Hiccup's father about the dragon nest. But Hiccup was scared they might hurt Toothless too. He asked Astrid for time, just until tomorrow. And by now, Astrid had started to like Hiccup too. The next day came, and it was time for Hiccup to kill a dragon. Stoik was beyond proud, but Hiccup had no intention of doing it. They brought out a fierce, fire-breathing dragon in front of him. Hiccup dropped his weapons and said, "I'm not going to hurt you." He tried to calm the dragon down, and it actually started to relax. But Stoik, angry and confused, grabbed his own weapons, which startled the dragon and made it furious. It launched an attack on Hiccup and grabbed him in its claws. But right then, Toothless appeared. He fought the dragon and defeated it. The dragon retreated back into its cage. But now, the other Vikings turned on Toothless. They came to capture him. Toothless tried to defend himself. Even Stoik joined the attack. Toothless was just about to strike him down when Hiccup shouted, and he stopped. The Vikings managed to capture Toothless. Stoik was furious with Hiccup. He said, "Those dragons took your mother, and now you're on their side?" But Hiccup replied, "And we've killed thousands of them too." He said, "If they don't steal food, that giant dragon will eat them alive." That's when Stoik realized Toothless had already taken Hiccup to the dragon nest. Stoik told him, "You're no son of mine," and walked away. He chained up Toothless and took him along, believing he would lead them straight to the dragon nest. As they approached the dragon nest, the dragons were sitting calmly on big rocks. They weren't attacking the Vikings at all. Even Toothless looked scared. Meanwhile, Hiccup moved forward to stop them. He told all his friends, "We have to go there too." They would ride dragons to get there. Everyone picked one dragon each. On the other side, Stoik was preparing to attack the dragon nest. They launched huge stone boulders at it. Once the nest cracked open, they threw fireballs inside. All the dragons flew out, but instead of attacking the Vikings, they just escaped and flew away. Because inside the nest, a giant dragon had been released. Just the act of it coming out killed several Vikings. With its fire breath, it burned down Viking ships, including the one Toothless was chained to. That giant dragon was about to attack Stoik. But just then, Hiccup arrived with his friends to save him. Hiccup explained, "That's the Dragon Queen." He ran straight to try and free Toothless. Meanwhile, his friends started distracting the Dragon Queen. They began attacking her eyes to keep her focus off Hiccup. But in the process, Toothless sank into the water. Hiccup dove in to save him, but Stoik pulled Hiccup back up to safety. Then Stoik himself jumped in and freed Toothless from his chains. Stoik looked at Hiccup and said, "I'm so proud of you, son." Hiccup and Stoik then joined the others to help in the fight. But the Dragon Queen had grabbed Astrid's dragon. Astrid managed to free her dragon, but ended up trapped in the Queen's jaws herself. Astrid jumped from the dragon's grip and Toothless caught her safely in midair. Hiccup and Toothless started provoking the Dragon Queen to fly. She roared and chased after them, breaking everything in her path. Toothless and the Dragon Queen vanished into the clouds. There, hidden in the mist, Toothless began attacking her, trying to rip her wings. Enraged, the Dragon Queen blasted a fire breath, and it hit Toothless' artificial tail. Still, Hiccup and Toothless didn't give up. They lured the Dragon Queen one last time, and just as she opened her mouth to attack, Toothless launched a fire blast straight into her throat. The Dragon Queen fell, and exploded on impact. But in the chaos, Hiccup fell from the sky. Stoic starts searching for Hiccup, and that's when he saw Toothless lying there. Stoic was heartbroken. The entire village gathered around, and just then, they saw that Toothless had saved Hiccup. He was alive. Everyone cheered with joy. Sometime later, Hiccup woke up in his room. Toothless was right there beside him, but Hiccup had lost one of his legs. With Toothless' help, he stepped outside. He saw his entire village now living in harmony with dragons. Everyone had become dragon riders. And with that, friends, our story comes to an end. Tell us in the comments how you liked this explanation. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.